Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have another pen here today, and this actually is my first Aurora pen. I actually bought this second hand. I didn't buy it new. I got a good deal on it. It was up for auction, and I bought this for a number of reasons. The first reason was I wanted to try an Aurora. And I have heard from many people, including Dan Smith from Nibsmith, that although Auroras are really nice, their nibs always need some kind of work done on them. So I thought, well, I wanted to try an Aurora to start with, and then I thought, well, I'm not gonna ideally, I'd love the Aurora Nebulosa. The problem that I do have with a lot of Auroras is the size or the length of the pen seem to be a little bit on the short side. So I didn't want to spend too much on an Aurora, and this one came up under auction, and I was able to get a good deal on it. So it is second hand. It's not a Nebulosa, but there's another reason why I wanted to get this when I saw the nib, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So it comes in basically just a standard box, really. The box lid lifts up, and inside you see I think it's like a plastic or faux leather type box. So let me remove that and get that out of the way. And then you'll see here there's an Aurora logo, and it's just a I guess it's like a standard pen box, really. Now if I lift the lid up on this, you'll see, if I tilt it down, Aurora, Dow 1919. So since 1919, made in Italy. And this is the Aurora pen. And it is an interesting pen, and I'll tell you why. It's a standard black pen. So if I remove this, you can see it is just a standard pen. Now black pens don't normally do it for me, but let me just go over parts of the pen first. So we have the cap here, and we have at the top we just have a rounded finial, cap finial. We have the clip with a ball on it, and it's quite a tough clip. It is springy, but not that springy. Now, in terms of the centre band, if we can get that to focus, you'll see the inscription there. So Aurora. And that's really all it says. Now, in terms of the body of the pen, it tapers down to basically, this is a piston filler, so it tapers down to this gold ring and then to this end cap. And if I uncap the pen, you'll see why I actually like this pen. So if I zoom in and get that to focus a little bit, you'll see here the tines on that nib are so long. So it's actually a really nice crisp nib, and I really do like it. Now this is supposed to be, as I understand it, a medium nib. At least that's how it was sold to me. I believe this is more, a little bit on the tines there, a little bit of dried ink. I believe this is more a fine nib, but you can see why I like that nib. Those tines are so long, the shoulders are so high, and it makes a really nice writer. So you can see there with the feed, and it is a lovely writer. Now, I don't normally go for fine nibs, and this really, I would say, is more of a fine nib. But this is one of the reasons why I went for this pen, not only because of the price, but because of that nib. And it's one of the older nibs that I understand. I don't know much about Aurora, so I will hold my hand up and say that right now. But as I understand it, this is one of the older 14-carat nibs. And it is a dream to write with. So you'll see here, the section flares out a little bit towards the nib. You have the threads, which are very shallow, they're not sharp, and then you have an ink window here. And as I mentioned, this is a piston filling pen. So really, outside of this, there isn't much to say about this pen. Like, in my hand, it actually feels quite nice. I can post the pen, and it posts quite deeply. It's not back weighted. So like, I wouldn't really use this pen like posted. I can get away without posting this pen, but if I wanted to, I could. And it really, it doesn't sit that high up on the pen, so it actually posts quite deeply and very securely. So I do like that as well. I do hate caps that post very shallow, so they really extend the pen. But then again, most people probably don't want to post their caps on the rear of the pens. But for me, this is a really, really nice pen to write with. But outside of that, really, there's not a lot to say about a black pen. It's black. It's pretty plain. I guess it's good for work meetings. But that's about it, really. There's nothing other than that really appeals to me, other than the writing experience. So let's do some size checks. So in terms of length, this is around 135 millimeters in length, and then the cap is around about 63 millimeters. Now, uncapped, we're looking at around 130 millimeters. So it's not that small a pen, but I prefer a little bit longer. But it is a nice pen. So let's do a weight check. Now this is fully inked. So the pen fully inked is just over 23.5 grams in weight. The cap is just under 9 grams. So that cap is very, very light. Whoa. And then the pen is just under 15 grams fully inked. So, left to right, we have the Visconti Luxor, we have the Visconti Belgica, we have a Pelikan M800 Royal Gold Rawdon, we have a Visconti Speakeasy, we have the Aurora 88 Large, we have the Visconti Opera Silverdust, the Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog, the Classic Pens LB5, the Visconti Opera Master Luna, and the Visconti Divina Metropolitan. So let's do a writing sample. So, this is the Aurora 88 Large, and it has a 14-carat gold nib. And I have been told that this nib is a medium nib, but I don't believe that. I think that is more of a fine nib, to be honest. It writes more like a fine. There is no designation that I can actually see on this nib whatsoever. Even on the feed, there's nothing there that will actually signify whether or not it's a fine or a medium, that at least that I can see anyway. So I'll call it, for the purposes of this, I'll call it a medium nib, but I'm pretty sure it's more of a fine nib. Now this nib is very nice. The ink is Waterman Serenity Blue. Now, in terms of line, like, this is providing a very fine line. Now, because these have like sort of large tines, you can flex it a bit more and get a lot more line variation out of it, and you can see that's quite a bit of line variation. So if I try to just flex it a little bit, now this is a 14 cat nib, so I don't want to flex it too much, but you can kind of see there that you can get quite a bit of line variation on the downstrokes here, being that this is writing more like a fine nib. Now, in terms of wetness, I'm going to see how wet this nib is. So, do some downstrokes as well. So, it's a little bit wet. It's not massively wet, and you can see here that this bit here smudged when I tried to smudge this line. So, it is a little bit wet. It's not what I would call fire hose wet, but I do like this nib. It is a very fine nib, and it really writes smoothly. Now, I don't know if this nib has had anything done to it, because I did pick this up second hand, but this nib writes very smoothly. It is actually a really nice nib. Now, I don't normally like fine nibs, because I normally find that they have too much feedback or they're too scratchy a lot of the time, but this is a joy to use. So I really do like it, and I love that it has this ink window in there as well. So, this is the review of the Aurora 88 large with a 14 karat gold nib. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.